Welcome everyone to the Women's Republican Club of New Orleans. We're just running a few minutes behind, so thank you all for joining us today. We have a great day. We're going to enjoy listening to our candidates for our 2026 races here in Jefferson and Kenner. And anyway, let's go ahead and stand, and we're going to call our meeting to order. Opening prayer by Helen Barnett, following with the Pledge of Allegiance, said by all. Yes. And I also want to introduce Helen Barnett as our new chaplain for the Women's Republican Club of New Orleans. Thank you, Helen.
Thank you, Mother. Thank you, everybody. It's good to be here. I have a prayer this morning, but I just want to say a word or two before I started. And that is, ever since the COVID and the fake election in 2020, and then Donald Trump's persecution, I have longed to find people that I could pray with for what's going on in our country. But people don't want to talk politics, or even a lot of churches pray about what's going on in the country. So I have found a group, and it's through this meeting here last time. We picked up a piece of literature that talked about the 714 initiative. Have you all heard of it? Okay. I've got pages. Please look at your places, and you'll see that I've got a page with 2 chronicles on it. And at the bottom is the website. And I've been praying every morning with these people, and I think we're going to move mountains. Okay. All right, so let's begin today. 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sin and will heal their land. And when I first heard that, I thought, well, I see all these people sinning and doing fraud out in the world, but this is calling us to look at our own lives. So can you all read with me the prayer of St. Francis? Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Helen. That was wonderful, lovely. That's beautiful. So our first speaker, our first guest is Walt Bennetti. And for over 20 years, Walt Bennetti has been standing up for the people of Kenner. Ladies, gentlemen, Jefferson Parish of Louisiana. On the radio, on the internet, at council meetings, and other public meetings. Whenever residents and business owners have needed a voice, Walt has been there. He's the past president of Citizens for a Better Kenner, the past president of the Pelican State Pachyderm Club, a business owner and a staunch advocate for good government and transparency, and has exposed government waste, fraud, and abuse at all levels of government. Now, Walt wants to stand up for the people of Kenner in a new role as the mayor of Kenner in the May 16th election. Let's welcome Walt Bennetti.
Thank you, Martha, and thanks to everyone who is attending today. I'm very excited to be here. It's ironic that I'm speaking on the same panel as John Young. Some of you may know I was on the radio. After Hurricane Katrina, I started to get very involved in Kenner and in Jefferson Parish. I launched the first website for and about Jefferson Parish after Katrina, and about a year later, I launched a radio program that was weekly. It was the only program at that time focused on Jefferson Parish and Jefferson Parish issues. John Young was my first guest. That was in 2007. So, well, no, you look great, John. That's the point I was trying to make. I got a lot more hair than John still does. That's a big difference. Some of the things that I've done, just to give you a little bit of background about me. I helped lead the citizens group, Citizens for a Better Kenner, that helped defeat Mike Yenny's tax plan, where he tried to double property tax in Kenner. That saved Kenner residents $12.5 million a year, over $175 million since that time, back in their pockets and not in the government's pockets. I also worked with the Stop the Tolls group to stop the Crescent City Connection toll extension that was going to be for 20 years. That helped keep $24 million a year, over $264 million in motorist pockets instead of the government. That's what I do. I ran for mayor in 2014. I was in the middle of rehabbing my leg and trying to keep my leg attached to me, which thank God it still is. I wasn't able to fully campaign because I had 2 surgeries during the campaign and I was in and out of the hospital. That's not why I lost. I ran against an incumbent. I ran against the political machine, same as I am doing now. I never thought I would run for office again. When Mike Glazer was elected in 2022, I was hopeful. I hoped that things would get better. I hoped that he would provide the change that Kenner needed. I thought he would be different, but he's not. We still have many of the same problems that we had 4 years ago, many of the same problems that we had 10 years ago. We still have an empty, abandoned mall. And the new plan is for Jefferson Parish to buy the mall and to tear down the Esplanade, leaving it as a pile of dirt. I'm against that. I believe the city of Kenner should buy the mall. We should move back, send our government to the Macy's building because we never rebuilt City Hall. And we should provide the catalyst as a city for developers to take the Esplanade project on. We can do that. If it is demolished, it will sit there for 8, 10, 15 years as a pile of dirt. No tax revenue, no sales tax revenue, no jobs, no businesses. We can't allow that to happen. One of the other primary issues that I'm running on is that I am totally against no bid, non-emergency contracts for campaign contributors. I'm not accepting any funding from city contractors or from those who might seek a city contract. I'm funding the campaign myself and with people like you who donate. I believe that's how it should be. In Kenner, we give out no bid contracts when we give the money to whomever is the highest bidder. How's that? It's called professional services contracts. But the mayor of Kenner has abused that, not just Mike Glazer, but previous mayors as well. Not every job should be considered professional services. In Kenner, we don't bid out our trash contract or recycling contract. We haven't bid out our trash contract in over 20 years. So how do we know that we're getting the best price and the best possible service and the best value for our residents without opening that up to a bid process? It shouldn't be just because someone contributes to a campaign that the mayor can unilaterally make changes, enter the city into lawsuits, and have taxpayers pay that because the mayor did. He's not on the hook for that. We have to pay that. We've seen that in Kenner. Not only has our mayor entered into lawsuits with trash companies, he's also entered into lawsuits and continuously fights with our Kenner firefighters, our heroes. A couple years ago, Mayor Glazer promoted a $7.5 million millage increase for the Kenner Fire Department. When he did that, he said the Kenner Fire Department budget would significantly increase. It didn't. It was 11 million. Now it's 12 million. It went up 1 million. We gave him $7.5 million. He clawed back 5 million to the general fund and pulled that away from Kenner firefighters. Kenner firefighters are not happy. They're leaving every month to go to other departments where they can get better pay, better living conditions, and better equipment, along with better leadership. We need to change that. At the WDSU hot seat, which wasn't televised but was available online, Mike Glazer said, "You can't get much done in 4 years." And I agree on major projects, but there are things that I'm going to do from day one, and that's on the back of this hand card. There are changes that I want to make immediately. I've watched government. I've seen how government works. I know what the citizens of Kenner want, and I know what we can change immediately. That's why I'm running for mayor. I'm not a career politician. I don't want to move to the parish. I don't want to move to Baton Rouge or to Washington. I want to fix Kenner. That's my priority, fixing Kenner. And we can do that. If you know people in Kenner, please help spread the word. We have 1 month to go before the election and less than that for early voting. So we need everyone out there trying to make the changes that Kenner needs and the changes that Kenner residents require to be able to move all of Kenner forward. If you drive down Kenner, if you spend any time in Kenner, there's a dividing line on West Esplanade. People north of West Esplanade have a lot. People south of West Esplanade have very little. Areas of Kenner have been neglected for decades because they're not the people who contribute to the campaigns. We need to change that. And with your help, I will. Thank you.
Q&A. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions? Yes.
Thinking about that Esplanade Mall, that you said you don't want to tear it down, but aren't you going to have to maintain it? Won't that be an increase in cost to keep it, up and
Sure. What we're going to do and what my plan is we're going to keep the bones of the Esplanade, the building. Target and Dillard's own their own buildings, so they're not moving. So we would do. Jefferson Parish wants to tear everything down. I want to move people back there and move Kenner government back, so that will provide the initial foot traffic. So developers can see that the city is committed to rebuilding the Esplanade. That will get them involved. They can solicit their ideas. We can take those to the public and say, here's what these developers want to do. What do you think we should do with the Esplanade? It's the second largest tract of land in Kenner, and we can't let Jefferson Parish control that. Exactly. And it will never be what it was. It will never be 100% retail and restaurants, but it can be something. For 8 to 10 or 15 years under Jefferson Parish's plan, it will be a pile of dirt. We can have offices there. We can have a technical school, a community college. We can do a lot with that mall. Thank you. Yes.
Trying to attract Amazon to put their center inside Amazon.
Inside the Esplanade? That has been discussed. Their focus is on Elmwood. They have a huge facility in Elmwood. I don't know that they would consider another facility in Kenner, depending on how their business continues to grow.
Lakeside, it's still kicking.
They're completely doing the mall, but they're building Sia. Get out. They're gonna totally redo their mall. It's almost gonna be like almost like an out of the mall. Have a courtyard and I've seen here.
Right. Clearview. Right. But you see that across there. You see Lakeside Boom, you see Clearview being refurbished, you see the Elmwood corridor development, you see development on the west bank. We don't have that in Kenner, and we need to get that back. Yes.
They used to be a kicking ball.
Yeah. Well, that is part of the plan in getting the state money. I believe there are other purposes behind the scenes that we don't know about. Once you get politicians involved, as you know, it can turn into anything. And the politically connected people will get that land a lot cheaper with it demolished. They can put 1,000 apartments there at the Esplanade if they want to. And you know there are politically connected apartment owners who donate to every campaign except mine.
I got another question. It's a different topic. The old airport. Why did they build a new airport after they renovated the old airport?
There was talk about turning the old airport into a shipping hub. And that's one of the things that I've talked about at other groups. Kenner has the airport in our backyard. We have I-10. We have railroads. Why aren't we diversifying our jobs?
That's right.
40% of Kenner employment is in retail and hospitality and low-wage healthcare. We could be a logistics hub for the state. We can do that in Kenner, but we don't. And part of that is because the mayor of Kenner has ceded economic development to Jetco. Jetco is a resource. Jetco should not be the primary economic development manager for the city of Kenner. That would be my job. I would wake up every day trying to attract new businesses, trying to retain the businesses that we have, creating jobs for Kenner and higher wage jobs than what we have now. 20% of Kenner lives below the poverty line because all we have are restaurant jobs and retail jobs, and the retail jobs are dying off too. Anyone else?
How's the race looking for you?
I believe there will be a runoff between Mike Glazer and myself. The last poll that I saw showed that we were very close, but none of us is in the 50%. I'm very excited about it. I have more signs out there.
Have the residents tired of the same old, same old?
I know yard signs don't vote, but I have a lot of yard signs out there. If you drive around in every Kenner neighborhood from people who I don't know, who I just met when I brought them a yard sign because they want to get involved. They want the change that I think I will bring to Kenner.
I think what you have in your favor is the political climate. Everybody's tired of the corruption, and so people are stepping out now and voting more than they ever did, and their voices are now they're serious about it. They want change.
People are waking up.
They have. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Walt. We will be praying for that race for you. All right. Next, I want to invite our next guest speaker. We have John Young. Many of us know John Young from the parish president. John Young brings experience and dedication to law and public service. He is an AV preeminent rated attorney and a consultant on government relations and public policy. He is a former president of the Jefferson Bar Association, a former Jefferson Parish Assistant District Attorney, and led the District Attorney's Office as Chief of Administration and Chief of Parish Courts. His public service has included Jefferson Parish Councilman at Large, serving 4 terms as Council Chairman. From 2010 to 2016, he served as President of Jefferson Parish, supervising more than 3,000 employees and the administration of an annual budget in excess of $660 million. His public service is also included in service as chairman of the Regional Planning Commission, president of the Louisiana Parishes Against coastal erosion, chairman, governor's vehicular homicide, DWI task force, executive board member of the Policy Jury Association of Louisiana, and board of directors of New Orleans Regional Chamber of Commerce. He earned a Juris Doctorate from Loyola University School of Law and a Bachelor of Public Administration from Loyola University. Let's welcome John Young. Mr. Young.
Hey. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Martha. And thank y'all for having me here today. As Martha said, for those of y'all who don't know me, I'm John Young. I'm a lifelong resident of Jefferson Parish. I'm the father of 5 sons. I've been blessed with 5 sons, and my oldest one is right there. John, he was the first one. He started it all. I'm an attorney by profession, but don't hold that against me. And I'm going to tell you a little quick funny story about my first race. When I ran the first time, and it was a successful campaign, but I was running against 2 incumbents, both of whom had been on the council, Jefferson Parish Council, for 24 years each. And of course, I had never run before, so nobody really knew who I was. And the way you poll in that type of race is you do a profile. So the poll comes back, and I sit down with the pollster and my team, and he says, "You have a 3% name recognition." And I said, "Well, that's pretty good. I'm 3 times more than I thought I'd had. I thought I'd have 1%. But he says, "You have a 20% negative." I said, wait, time out. I said, "I'm new at this, but how do only 3% of the people know me and 20% of the people already have a bad impression of me?" He says, "You're an attorney. You start off with a 20% negative." But in all seriousness, the fact that I'm an attorney is an asset for this job, because you have to deal with a lot of federal and state regulations. And I'm a trained and AD rated attorney. That's the highest rating you can get based on legal ability and ethical standards. So that is an asset for the job I'm seeking as your public service commissioner. In addition to my private practice, as Martha alluded to, I've also had the privilege and honor of serving the citizens of Jefferson Parish as an assistant DA, as councilman at large, and as the parish president. And during my tenure as both councilman at large and parish president, I had the experience of going through, as a public official going through Katrina, Rita, Gustav, Ike, the BP oil spill, Tropical Storm Lee, and Hurricane Isaac. So I know how to act and react both before, during, and in the aftermath of storms. And ladies and gentlemen, it's not a question of if we're going to get another storm, but the question when. And you need somebody who's experienced and can make sure that we restore your power as quickly and safely as possible. I'm also the only candidate in this race who's actually held an energy company, a utility company accountable. That was Hurricane Isaac. And if you remember, first of all, when you're president of a parish like Jefferson, people don't know who the CEO of Bennetti is, so they look to you as the parish president. You're head of the utility company. You get our power on. Well, I was down in Lafitte and Grand Island taking care of issues 2 days after the storm, when my phone lit up with photographs from 200 trucks parked at the Pontchartrain Center at 2:00 in the afternoon, sitting idle. Another photo, 200 trucks at Boomtown Casino, sitting idle at 2:00, and people saying, "What are you going to do about it?" So I come back to the Emergency Operations Center. We have all the agencies there. We have a representative from Energy. And I said, "What's going on with the power restoration?" He said, "I don't know. I can't get any answers from my company." I said, "Well, look, you got about 2 hours, because then I'm going to go on TV." And we had a daily press conference to let everybody know what was going on. And I said, "I'm going to have to call Energy out. I prefer not to, but I'm going to have to." So didn't get an answer. We called them out. 5 minutes after the press conference, I got a call from the CEO of Energy. He says, "When can we meet?" I said, "Tomorrow morning at 7:00. Met at 7 a.m. I said, "Look, I'm not trying to be difficult, but we need to move, and nothing's happening." So we worked together, said we need to work together. We worked together. But in addition to that, and getting the power restored after that storm, we set up at my suggestion, a joint task force of both my executive staff and Energy's executive staff to go about replacing poles on a proactive basis, because we found we lost a lot of poles because they were rotted because of other things, including termite infestation. So we have to have a plan. We developed a plan, and we did that for a year, and we actually hardened and strengthened our grid so that we wouldn't have as much damage going forward. So I'm also the only candidate who's actually run a major governmental operation. Walt alluded to it. I was responsible for administering and balancing a budget of nearly $750 million, supervising over 3,000 employees. None of my opponents can say that. But what's more important than that is he increased the level of services to the citizens of Jefferson Parish and delivered them more efficiently and effectively without any new taxes. And we also maintain the highest bond rating in the state of Louisiana. In addition to that, I led the charge, and the voters approved it, to create Jefferson Parish's first ever Office of Inspector General to combat waste, fraud, and abuse. And again, we created that without any new tax. So I'm going to take that same fiscal discipline to my role as your next Public Service Commissioner, because we have to make sure that you get safe, reliable, and affordable power at the lowest cost possible. And I will take my fiscal discipline to that approach and make sure that that is what happens. Now, I'm running for the PSC, and it's a good question. Some people say, why are you running for PSC? Before I answer that question, I think it's important to maybe point out what the PSC does, what the Public Service Commission does, because it's a very important job. But a lot of people don't know the ins and outs of the Public Service Commission, what it actually does. So there's only 5 commissioners in the whole state of Louisiana. Obviously, the most important thing, and the one that hits everybody in the pocketbook, is the PSC regulates utilities, your electricity, your gas. In Jefferson and Metro New Orleans and major parishes, it doesn't regulate water rates, but on the North Shore it does, because the way the North Shore developed, had independent developers put in independent water systems. So they are having the number one problem on the North Shore with regard to water rates is happening right now, because they came in, EPA made them change that system because it was below standards, and now their bills went from $30 to $100 a month. So I'm gonna have to deal with, that's gonna be our first priority. So it's a good thing y'all live in Jefferson. So in addition to that, so that's what it's everybody. But in addition to that, the PSC also regulates all intrastate commerce, not interstate, but intra. So moving companies, for example, if you move from Baton Rouge to New Orleans or vice versa, regulate, if you have a problem with your moving company, you go to the PSC. All the towing companies, they regulate all the towing companies in the state, and also for whatever reason, jailhouse telephones, and all the telecom, like Verizon. Like I was at a meeting in North Shore the other day, and one of the councilmen in St. Tammany said there's a problem with phone reception on the causeway, so I called to do for show, and obviously that's something the PSC regulates, and they have to put some more towers on. But that, and then also wastewater. So that's what the PSC does. Just so everybody understands that. So why am I running? I'm running for PSC because we are at a really inflection point in the state of Louisiana, a transformative point that we haven't seen probably in a generation. And by that, I'm talking about the billions of dollars that are being invested in Louisiana by the AI data companies primarily, but also Hyundai Steel, Venture Global down in Plaquemines. And this is the important point. Billions of dollars are coming here. It's going to transform our economy. My commitment to you is those AI data companies, the largest and wealthiest companies in the world, they're going to have to pay their own way. They're going to have to pay for the infrastructure that they need. They're going to have to pay for their own power generation, so that those costs are not passed on to you and me, not passed on to the existing ratepayers in the state of Louisiana, whether it be residential, business, commercial, industrial, or otherwise. That's my commitment to you. In terms of the future, and this may surprise everybody, and nobody really, if you tell everybody we have low rates, they say, well, not really, but I will tell you the facts. The reason these AI data companies are coming here is we do have the lowest base rates, and I'm going to explain that in a minute. Lowest base rates in the entire Southeast. And we have the third or fourth lowest base rates in the United States, in the state of Louisiana. And you may, they're coming here because of that. They're coming here because we have an abundance of water, which they need. And they're coming here because they have a certainty of regulation, and businesses want certainty. So I have an idea about water too, by the way. We have a tremendous amount of water. That's why they're coming here. But why use potable drinking water? Why don't we use our wastewater? They don't, to cool these AI
That's right. Good question.
That's my idea. So I'm gonna look into that. Why, we're not gonna use drinking water, we're gonna use our wastewater, recycle it. But getting back to the rates, we have the lowest base rates. We say, well, why are my bills so high? Because we have the highest consumption rates per capita because of our extreme weather conditions. So we have to look at doing some more energy efficient programs to make sure all the housing stock has energy efficient energy efficiency. So because of our extreme heat, and sometimes we get extreme cold, but mostly extreme heat, we have the highest consumption. That's why our bills are high. But I'm going to make sure we keep them as low as possible. Now, going forward into the future, I think the future, we've been blessed with an abundance of natural gas and fossil fuels here in Louisiana. And about 75% of our energy relies on fossil fuels. But I think the future, ladies and gentlemen, is nuclear. Nuclear energy. Thanks, Lord. Nuclear, and I'm not talking 3 Mile Island nuclear. I'm talking about nuclear has come a long way, ladies and gentlemen. And we have what they call small modular reactors, or SMRs. We need to diversify our sources of energy so that we can find and pass on the lowest rates possible. So I'm in favor of diversification of our energy sources. In addition to strengthening and hardening our grid from weather events, we also have to be aware of cyber attacks. So we need to make sure we keep an eye on that as well. I will tell you that if you look at my experience and record of accomplishments, and all due respect to my opponents, I am uniquely qualified for this position and the best qualified candidate that has the experience to be your next public service commissioner. I would like to tell you that, I don't want to take too much more time, but I would like to explain the district if I can real quick. All right, so District 1, I'm running for Eric Skermetta's seat. Eric has served for 18 years and he is term limited. So I'm running for his seat. It's an open seat. So this is the district. All of the East Bank of Jefferson, on the West Bank of Jefferson, Grand Isle, Lafitte, and Barataria. We have the western part of St. Charles, West Bank of St. Charles Parish. Okay, we have Lakeview and Lake Vista and the lakefront in Orleans. That's the only part of Orleans we have. Then we have all of Plaquemines, all of St. Bernard, all of St. Tammany, all of Washington, all of Tangipahoa, all of St. Helena, and part of Livingston Parish. So as I told you, it's a big district because there's only 5 commissioners. There's 6 congressmen, so it's larger than a congressional district. It's the largest district other than statewide in the state of Louisiana. Yes, ma'am.
Times before the PSC would ask whether the county.
I'm all for protecting property rights. It's not directly in the front of it. I'll tell you my position. It's more of a legislative issue. But the last thing I want to see is private property rights being taken. And I don't think, and I'm a lawyer, and Louisiana took a step after the U.S. Supreme Court case where it said you can take private property for economic development. And the legislature at that time said no. I know there's a move to change that now, but I'm all for protecting private property rights and not using expropriation for private interests.
I was gonna ask a carbon sequestration question also, because the governor is so in favor of, and there's so much money to come into our area with, another environmental scam, I call it, because
Yeah.
I don't want that, put under the ground, not just because of property rights,
Thank you.
but because
Right.
of contamination.
Exactly.
And I also, coming from local government, I don't consider myself a career politician. I've spent time in government, but I've also been in private practice and run small business. So I have, I think, the best of both worlds. But to answer your question, I think coming from local government, that local government has to be involved, and the people that it affects directly have to have a voice. They have to have you have to consult the stakeholders. I don't think it should be pushed from the top down. I think local communities need to weigh in. And they need to decide what the future of their local communities are going to be. And I think when you bring everything down to the local level, that's where you get the best representation. It's coming from local government, you're the closest to the people. So.
Yeah, a little bit on that. But, it's even, the whole premise of carbon capture is baloney. And they're going on the global warming,
Right,
garbage, you know, we don't need, CO2 in there, we need it for plants.
Republicans.
Look, you know my view on climate change. We can do everything in the United States. Everything leftists that they want to do. But if China doesn't do it,
Thank you.
I hate to use that expression. We're blowing in the wind, okay? Because it's not gonna make a difference.
I have a question, because you're probably the only person I haven't spoken to about this. This is a personal thing. But
Sure.
But,
I grew up in Bucktown. I lived on the corner of Ocean and Poplar. We had a septic tank too, by the way.
this tank, it's my house, built 1933. And, we had to get it changed. We have to get hooked up to the sewer. You don't have to pay. I think that is hard. I mean, to me, we're not paying sewer. You can have us hooked up to the sewer so we can pay you for the sewer. And I just don't understand why we have to put the bill. I mean, we can't even get any help on it. You see all these construction projects,
Yeah.
parents, and none of, they can't throw us a few dollars.
Well, if I was still parish president, I'd help you.
Yeah, I voted for you.
Yeah. But my suggestion is you call your district councilman
I did.
and you didn't
They
get any help.
can't help us.
Jefferson Parish was on the move when you were president.
Thank you.
One thing, if you was president, y'all wouldn't have had a mass mandate like with Cynthia.
No. I can assure
Or the
you that.
lakefront wouldn't have been locked down.
Right, I can assure you that. I think that was such an overreaction. It really was an overreaction. The way I would have handled it, quite frankly, since you asked, not part of the Public Service Commission, but I mean, I think that anyone who was over a certain age, like 55, voluntarily you isolate. Like you take care of yourself, or if you have a serious health problem, no matter what your age, you isolate. But everybody else, go about your business.
Voluntarily though, right?
I mean, I'm all for individual rights at the end of the day. I don't want government mandating things.
So I have a question and a statement. The Women's Republican Club in New Orleans worked with a team of engineers to put together a resolution to protect the grid. We ended up going that route because we wrote a bill and we found out that you don't write bills to protect the grid, that goes before the Public Service Commissioner, and the 5 of them vote. So we learned that as we were going through the process. That's what then made us go from the bill to the resolution. So the resolution passed unanimously last year in 2025. I'd like to send that to you.
Sure.
And then just recently, under Representative Chuck Owens, and a few other of the representatives, we were asked to put together a threat vulnerability assessment, our team. and I chaired it. So we completed that task. We sent it over to Homeland Security and the Veterans Affairs, and also Senator Hodges' Committee for Infrastructure, you know. Yeah, Senator Hodges. So they have our threat assessment. And so our next step is to, you know, as you going into that or running for that position, would you work with our team to protect our grid
Oh, absolutely.
using our threat assessment?
Absolutely.
And can we send that to you as well? Okay.
Look, I'm all for transparency and accountability, and I can just want to close with saying this. I've always, the way I operate in public office, I always put the people first above special interests. And I'm gonna mention an example, just one example. I was the only government official in Jefferson Parish government. I'm talking about as parish president. All the council was against me. I was the only one, I'm not saying I'm the only one in Jefferson Parish. I'm the only one in Jefferson Parish government who stood up against the removal of the tolls on the Crescent City connection. And I got a lot of criticism from my colleagues on the council because everybody was saying, Chicken Little, the sky's gonna fall, the bridge's gonna fall, and we're not gonna be able to maintain it. Look, those tolls have been gone for a long time, that bridge is still there.
Right.
Okay? That was in the best interest of the people, not the people who had hurricane insurance on the bridge and were making money off of that.
Right.
And the other thing that really got, look, we need to pay for it, take it off, it's paid for, that's what needs to be done. But in that case, this is important. When they passed that legislation to put that new span for the Crescent City connection, in addition to paying for it, there was supposed to be 15 public works projects and roadways done on the west bank of Jefferson Parish. And guess what? When those tolls came up for renewal, not only was not one finished, not one was even started. Okay, so they breached the trust with the public. And that's why I was against it. And I think it was the right thing to do because that was putting people first. And I'll continue to do that. So thank y'all very much.
All right, you still 110% pro-Trump and anti-Obama, right?
Yes.
And would,
I was actually a delegate, by the way, to this 2016 nomination.
and one more question, would you be willing to meet with our engineers who helped us put together?
Absolutely. Look, the way I operate, I know I don't know everything.
Okay.
So I'm open to being educated. So that's the way I learn. I get a lot of good ideas from people I talk to. Like I told you that story about the councilman in St. Tammany. I didn't even know there was an issue with phone service on the causeway. So I learn a lot from talking to people, and I'm always I have an open mind.
Signs and some bumper stickers.
Well, I didn't, since I'm a fiscal conservative, and my kids call me cheap, I prefer to be called frugal. But
Hey,
that's the other thing, I spend public money like it's my money, okay? But I don't have bumper stickers, but I do have signs, and the reason I don't have bumper stickers is because it's not cost effective. Just most people don't want to put bumper stickers on the cars, you just end up wasting money.
True. I never put one on, I never.
My problem is I live on 14 Avenue, nobody sees my sign.
But we'll still put out one for you. Thank y'all very much. And look, I know I'm speaking to preaching to the choir here, but let your friends know that there's an election on May 16th. Early voting starts on May 2nd through 9th. It's going to be not for Walt, but for me, it's going to be a confusing election because I'm part of the closed primary. So I know we're talking to Republicans here, so all of y'all are Republicans. But if somebody wants to vote for me, they have to be either no party, they have to switch from a Democrat or whatever. So it's going to be some confusion because people are going to go in. Because there's only 3 state offices, and of course the congressional races that are closed. Everything else is still the same. But PSC, Supreme Court, Bessie, and the congressional elections are all closed. So
You mean
gotta-
non-closed?
Non-closed.
Non-closed, closed.
No parties.
Besides having a vote.
Right, I was gonna say, the no party, if you're no party, and I know, I'm pretty sure, I don't think anybody, is anybody no party?
No.
But no party, you can elect to vote Republican at the time of the election, yes. Or Democrat. Yeah.
So that technically means it's not
I'm gonna
close.
say Republican, but yes, you can elect either way. Correct.
I was in the towing industry and I'm going back to it. I hope y'all are easy on us because the last one, Eric Stromatter, was against tow companies.
Well, look, y'all have a tough job, okay? Because every time you interact with people, it's not a pleasant situation. I can assure you I'm gonna be fair. You know, we have bad actors in every business, bad lawyers, bad actors, bad professors, whatever, but I'm gonna always be fair and I'm gonna listen to both sides of the story.
That's what I did with Devontae Lewis.
Gotcha.
All right, with one last question.
Interesting.
Okay. What about, does that cover CDL licensing?
It can if it's interstate. Now, the problem you have is it's interstate between states. That's a federal issue which we have no control over.
Well, I'm concerned about people on the road driving large trucks who are not qualified properly, who've been given CDL licenses in other states.
And until
And they're not, they don't even speak English and understand the road signs, and they're out there. It's danger to drivers.
Well, I would look into that, but I can tell you off the cuff that we probably don't have direct powers over that because that's probably intrastate, but certainly we have ability to talk to our federal counterparts to police that when it poses a threat to people in Louisiana. Yeah, so that's something we can definitely influence on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
We're gonna get a picture with you with our group after the meet, okay?
All right.
All right, thank you so very, very much. So our next guest is beautiful Danielle Walker from State of Freedom Podcast, the Chamber in Eastern and Southern Africa, as well as for issues related to trade facilitations and energy across the African continent. Danielle, after business school, Danielle joined Pfizer and moved to New York to lead the company's Middle East and Africa policies and government affairs. Most of her professional experience has been in Africa politics, lobbying, coalition building, and speech writing, and coaching executives in government affairs. She held several roles during her tenure at Pfizer that broadened her experience to include all of the emerging markets and a number of therapeutic area specialists. Danielle moved back to the Bayou in 2020 to be near family and got involved in the local anti-mandate Truth in the Medicine movement. She left Pfizer in April of 2023 to launch the State of Freedom podcast with our dear friend Christopher Alexander and has never looked back. Danielle is passionate, has a passionate faith and relationship with Jesus Christ. And she believes strongly in biblical foundation principles upon which America was founded. She's an advocate for personal liability, election integrity, and a return to constitutional governance. Danielle is the board secretary for the local pro-constitution organization, We the People Bayou Community, and she is a CASA volunteer in home area. She has a daily devotional blog. Let's welcome Danielle Walker. Thank you.
Thank y'all for having me. Y'all don't hold that Pfizer stuff against me too bad.
Let me know, I'll go out and buy this.
You just don't know until you know, and I found out during COVID. So it's such a pleasure to be with y'all this afternoon. Thanks for having me. I visited the other Vincent before we got to this one. My sister's joining me today. Yeah, we took a little tour of New Orleans and Metairie, trying to find the right spot. We got here, so thank you all for waiting. So what I don't really know what y'all want to talk about today. I have a lot I can talk about. I'll start out with, I thought I'd start out with a scripture, Ephesians 2:10 reads, we have become his poetry, a recreated people that will fulfill the destiny he has given each of us, for we are joined to Jesus, the anointed one. Even before we were born, God planned in advance our destiny and the good works we would do to fulfill it. And, I was reading that this morning and I just thought it's a worthy question for me to pose to this group because you're here, you're activated, you're concerned about your community, you're concerned about the future of this state and this country. Are you living and fulfilling the destiny that God has given you? Are you doing the good works that he has planned for you to do? A.W. Tozer said, what you think about God is the most important thing about you. And I'd say it this way. In order to live in destiny, we need to know three things. Who is God? Who am I in God? And what am I here to do? And so that changes with our life seasons too, right? It's not a static thing. What am I here to do? It's not meant to stay the same over time. John, you were a practicing attorney, and now you're doing more civic life work, and that's changed over time. But I bet all your attorney work has really informed your ability to do a good job at what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so God uses everything, and I just think that's so cool. I came prepared to talk about the legislative session today. If y'all want to hear what's going on, there is all manner of craziness happening at the legislature. But I just ask if maybe y'all would listen through a little bit different lens as I talk about that and ask the Lord, or just notice what makes you the most angry, what makes you the most excited, what makes you the most upset, and then maybe take some time with the Lord and ask him, okay, how am I supposed to channel that? Because that feels like it may be connected to something I'm supposed to be involved in. So I just want to make sure everyone here feels like you are empowered to be engaged, because I feel like that's a big part of what I'm called to do, which is tell the truth as I see it, right, as best I can, living informed by the Lord and by the words on the page, and then also giving people some real practical tips on action that can be taken based on what we're learning. So y'all can hear, let me see. There's a couple different topics I want to cover. How much time do I have, Martha? Martha, how much time do I have?
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
5 minutes.
Oh my God, we can cover everything.
25 minutes.
Okay, 25 minutes. I thought I'd start out with a story that I only learned about yesterday that is impacting Orleans Parish, and it is one of the more horrifying stories to me of this legislative session. I may get some of the details slightly wrong because I'm not. Like I said, I just learned about it yesterday, but the broad outlines of the story are accurate. So there's a gentleman named Calvin Duncan. Does that name ring a bell to anyone in this room? All right, me either. I'd never heard of him. He was wrongfully incarcerated for 28 years in Orleans Parish. When he got out, he went to law school. And he ran for clerk of court with a platform of cleaning the criminal clerk's office in the clerk of court's office and making it transparent. They had allegations that filings were showing up in landfills, that misfilings were happening, and all kinds of shenanigans and bad filings were taking place in that criminal clerk's office. He won with 68% of the vote. And Governor Landry is strongly pushing a bill that Senator Jay Morris is carrying on his behalf. It's Senate Bill 256, if anybody wants to write it down. And it has gone through the Senate. It went through the Senate relatively unnoticed. And yesterday it made it through the House Judiciary Committee. And what they're doing is they have made it so that he has not yet been able to get sworn in as clerk of court. And they are trying to consolidate that office so that the civil and the criminal clerk is consolidated into one person instead of two people, because the theory is based on the way that the behavior is, they don't want anybody to know what's happening in that office. So I think that is something that is going to require a lot of prayer, but also for us just to be aware of and to speak out about, because look, this gentleman wrongfully incarcerated, he's a Black Democrat. Ideologically, I probably have nothing in common with him or very little in common with him. But to me, that doesn't matter because this is the process that is being trampled on. There were several people who testified in his favor yesterday, quite a number of friends and attorneys who spoke. Chris went down to the legislature, my co-host Chris Alexander, if y'all watched our podcast. He testified in favor of Calvin. Ed Tarpley testified in favor, and they were just spitting mad because this is trampling completely over our Republican form of government. There had been an amendment proposed in the Senate that would have allowed him one term before they consolidated, since he has already been elected. Only one Republican joined the Democrats in support of that, and the measure failed. And the one Republican was Patrick Connick. So I just wanted y'all to be aware of that because those are your neighbors, and this is happening right under our noses. And I just think I just struggle with this because I see that this state is being run with a very, very heavy hand. And I just think it's important that we know about that and that we let our friends and neighbors know about that, because I joined Governor Landry's town hall conference call a couple of days ago. I don't remember what day it was. And I was like, the people who are asking questions on here are either plants or they're in La La Land. I mean, they have no idea the way that he's behaving, and it's so upsetting. I voted for the man. Look, if he succeeds, we all succeed. I'm not cheering against him, but I've had some real problems with the way that he is conducting his governorship. You are no one. I wish I had it. Yeah. There's a couple bills on parental rights that I thought I'd mention. The first one is House Bill 485. It's a proposed constitutional amendment. It's being brought by Representative Beryl Amade, and it would codify parents as the authority in their children's lives. And imagine that we need a constitutional amendment for that. But the point of this is to stop that medical kidnapping that's happening across the nation, where if the state decides it doesn't like a parent's approach to cancer treatment, or if the state decides that the kid does really need to be trans, that they take the kid away from the parents. So it's a very important bill, and it not in our state. Yeah. I think even the cancer one may have happened in Florida though. Yeah, it's super scary. But the bill says that any restriction to this right would be reviewed under scrutiny unless a higher level of protection or scrutiny is already recognized and applied by the court. So what's concerning about this bill is it was sent to the Attorney General for review, and the Attorney General's office had some questions about it. They were concerned that it may cause lawsuits. And they were concerned that it may contradict some existing laws. And I just think this is an important bill. You kind of work that stuff out, as you go. I don't look, I'm not an attorney, so I don't know, but I just feel like if this is important, and it is important, then let's either offer something to clean up the language or just stop opposing it. What doesn't cause a lawsuit? Thank you. That's what I would like to know. Representative Amade has another bill, House Bill 984, and this is specific to parental rights regarding medical treatment of their minor children. You may or may not be aware, but in the state of Louisiana, minors have the right to direct their own medical treatment. Parents do not have that authority. And this bill has been run no less than 3 times already, and it has failed every single time. So someone tell me why this bill keeps failing. It's extremely sinister. And this bill has not yet been heard, so keep an eye out for it. We'll be following it on our show. But it's just concerning to me, and I don't have good feelings about why this has failed in the past.
Might be because transgender. I know people that are that.
Yeah,
Want to.
yeah, I think it could be, and maybe in earlier years before Dobbs, it could have been about abortion. But that's been several years now. And there even is a carve out that says that if a minor child believes they're pregnant or needs emergency pregnancy support, medical support, that is a carve out that they can get that without their parents' knowledge. So it should not be an issue. The next bill, there's two other bills under the kind of theme of parental rights I want to mention. The next one is House Bill 1150 by Representative Edmund Jordan. And he wants to institute trauma screenings for elementary education students, just like you would hearing and vision and scoliosis. He wants trauma screenings. And all I have to say is what could possibly go wrong? I mean, those people, the schools and anyone hired by the schools has no business asking those kids anything unless they suspect there's trouble at home. So I think, I'm certainly opposed to that, but it's an important one to keep an eye on. Hopefully it does not get any traction. And then the last one, Johnny, you mentioned the Bessie board being in a closed primary. There's a bill right now, Senate Bill 49 by Senator Alan Seabaugh, and it would take the Bessie board out of the closed primaries. And we're opposed to that. We're really strongly opposed to that because we feel like this is the way that we get Rhino candidates in there, and that has kind of been part of the reason that our education has gotten so liberal and so Marxist over time. And so there was a companion bill to that in the House brought by Representative Mike Bayham that was soundly defeated. So hopefully this Senate bill doesn't make it over back to the House. I think hopefully that puts Senator Seabaugh on notice that this isn't a welcome bill. And he is running for district attorney. So I think he wants to probably keep his head under, he probably wants to keep his head down and not have suffer a big loss on something like this. Couple of things on free speech. One is House Bill 410 by Representative Lori Schlegel. She's brought a bill that would require that both parties in a conversation consent to the conversation being recorded. Now, on its face, you can think that that's a great thing, but truly it's a horrific thing because if anybody has ever seen anything by James O'Keefe, there's no way he could have uncovered anything. That's right. Without being able to go undercover and record some of these things. There's no carve out for public corruption. There's no carve out for corporate corruption. There's some carve outs that say that, okay, if you think you may uncover criminal activity, but what if it's not criminal activity? What if it's a man protecting himself from in a difficult conversation with a female employee, employer? There's any number of situations you can come up with where people may need to record something to either protect themselves or to prove that something nefarious is going on. So we've been very much opposed to this. Good. It has moved through the House pretty quickly. It has some opposition in the House. It was a 55-32 vote that it passed. It has not been taken up in the Senate Judiciary Affairs Committee yet, but we expect that it may be picked up soon there. On a positive note, I don't want to be all sour, y'all. House Bill 1008 by Representative Chuck Owen. This bill, I just am so excited about this bill because it is prohibiting public colleges and universities, public post-secondary education institutions from retaliating against faculty members for for exercising their freedom of speech and for exercising academic freedom. And there was a case in there's an ongoing case in Louisiana right now. I'm not sure if y'all are aware, but there's a chemistry professor, Dr. Fareshta Amami. She's a professor of chemistry at Southeastern, and she was the head of a research program to look at Lake Maurepas and see what was going on there. The study was funded by Airgas, and they wanted her to create a baseline for, to say that all that had happened in Lake Maurepas so far didn't amount to anything. Everything's looking good, and they can move forward with their carbon capture programs. Well, she found something so horrific. I mean, toxic levels of every disgusting chemical you could imagine are in the lake. And I think the university probably, according to her attorney, would have let her get away with reporting those to like the journals that none of us read, chemistry journals. But when she started talking to NOLA.com about it, that's when it got a little hairy for her. So she pretty much immediately got pulled from the study, and she's now having to do other things that she was not. I mean, that are less interesting to her, and so she's very much been sidelined by this. And she had an administrative hearing. What's interesting is the person who decides the fate of her is the same person who put her in the position she's in, which is the president of the university. So we're thinking there's going to have to be a lawsuit, a federal freedom of speech suit, but this should give her some relief as well, because this bill would be retroactive. So I'm excited about that. I'm proud about that, and hopefully it will allow and give more conservative professors the ability to feel like they can speak up without retaliation, because I think we all know they've been silenced in the last number of years, probably the last, 16 years.
Danielle, what's the status of that bill right now?
It passed unanimously in the House, so we're in the House committee, so it'll go to the House floor, and I think it's looking like it's got good bipartisan support. Yeah. Health freedom and personal liberties. We're still fighting battles for COVID. Can y'all believe it? And the big hospitals and institutions are not really too interested in letting the little people have their way. They're just not. House Bill 1121 by Representative Lauren Ventrilla is what I think a fantastic bill. It is basically saying that providers have the right to practice medicine according to their conscience. Imagine that. And based on ethical, moral, or religious beliefs, and saying that if you work for one of those big conglomerates, they have to allow you to practice medicine the way, according to your beliefs. That bill hasn't moved yet, but she's hopeful for it. We had her on the podcast on yesterday. She's hopeful for the bill, but she also seems pretty realistic that it may take a couple years for something like this to get passed. It's just so disgusting that any bill that's going to give people freedom has a hard time passing, but the bills that restrict our freedom seem to go through quite easily. Representative Mayoral is also bringing a bill, or she tried to bring a bill, House Bill 22, that would prohibit financial incentives or penalties from insurance companies that are trying to incentivize healthcare providers to push the vaccines on people. That bill failed. Let me see what the 4-12 and House insurance. It was absolutely disgusting. And then to make it even more disgusting, Oshner delivered a load of 300 smoothies to the House floor the next day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Truly. It's under the threshold, right, per person. But yeah, the gift threshold, yeah, absolutely. It is disgusting and transparently disgusting. The next one is House Bill 926 by Representative Mike Bayham, and he brought this. It would have prohibited the use of vaccine status in order to get into public buildings, he had to voluntarily defer that bill because of opposition. So he, instead of it taking a vote and him just basically getting embarrassed, he just pulled it. I don't think he'll probably bring it back this session. So that's discouraging. And then there was a broader medical freedom bill that was brought on Wednesday of this week, House Bill 1041 by Representative Jay Galley. And it is broader than BAM's bill, but now it has been amended to say that healthcare institutions and educational institutions, this doesn't apply to. So other people can have health freedom, but if you work in a hospital or if you go to school or work in a school, doesn't apply to you. Yeah. So that bill is still moving. I guess they could probably claw some of it back, but that's kind of the state of affairs right now. And there's another bill that's a personal, I don't know, it's a bee in my bonnet this session. This bill has given me, I've spent more time on this bill than any other bill, and it's Senator Facey's Senate Bill 4. It's his bill to prohibit fluoride in water. I think y'all are aware of how much fluoride damages all manner of our health. I mean, your thyroid, your IQ, it's your hormones. It's horrific. It's absolutely horrific, and we're paying for the government to poison us. So I would really like to see this taken out of the water supply. It doesn't seem like it should be that hard, but like anything, he brought this bill last year and it failed. Apparently we have a very strong dental lobby who believes that kids are going to have their teeth rotting out of their heads if you don't have this.
Every toothpaste has.
Thank you. Thank you. So anyway, he had the bill in what I thought was pretty horrifying condition, leaving the Senate committee, which would have required every parish to conduct a petition. If you want to get fluoride out of your water, you have to conduct a petition, which get 15% of your parish to sign it. Can you imagine a registered voters? 9,000 in Terrebonne where I am. I'm like, can you imagine the education campaign? I'm like, how about we just take it out and anybody that wants it should pay to put it back in their water? Fortunately, he got rid of the petition and now there's just an automatic election in every parish where that is affected by fluoridated water. But that's still an education campaign we have to do because I would think that the dental lobby can afford to get billboards and say, oh, you need this fluoride. So keep an eye on that one. We're hoping that he can still amend it further so that it's not as work intensive for us, right? I mean, I'm like, Mike, we have to work hard enough every single day. I don't have time to do a big fluoride campaign.
How many parishes?
It's over 30. It's a lot.
Is Jefferson?
I have a list. I could look it up after.
great.
Yeah. And then the next one, okay, this is another bill that is so weird and upsetting. So for years, Representative Larry Bagley has brought a bill that was going to get rid of the inspection sticker. How many people would like to get rid of the inspection sticker? Yeah, I think it's unconstitutional personally, but I would rather have an inspection sticker than what this garbage is that they're trying to push on us now. So there, I don't know if this is Governor Landry's brainchild, but it has his fingerprints on it. I've heard that he was the one that initially was pushing this QR code. But he wants a QR code instead. Guess it's supposed to cost a little $2, $3 less. And it's only going to have your VIN number. And so I have a lot of questions about that. Is it a QR code that our phones have the ability to read, or is it a QR code that only the police have the ability to read? Yeah, can you read it from, can you be able to get a ticket because of this? And then I want to say, well, okay, so why do you need my VIN number on a QR code? If you pull me over for something I did wrong, I would like the police officer to press in every single digit on his little machine. I mean, seriously. What else are they going to put on there? They say that they're just going to do this now, but next time they're just going to do one more and one more and one more. And this is, I feel like this is an aspect of the surveillance state. And I'm really not into it. There's someone posted in our comments, we posted a reel on this, and someone said that this is the beginning of a mileage tax. And that they are instituting mileage taxes yeah, can you believe that? We don't need this garbage. We don't need this. All right, how am I doing, Martha? I have private property rights and legalized corruption are left on my list.
Yeah, just a couple of minutes.
Okay. Private property rights, y'all are all aware of the carbon capture sequestration eminent domain thing. Okay, I won't beat that dead horse, but y'all saw that it failed 7-12. It was a big embarrassment that it failed. I think it was transparent corruption to see it fail. There is a companion bill in the Senate. It's Senate Bill 60 by Senator Bill Wheat. We'll see if he has. I don't want to say if he has the courage to bring it, but he also has to be allowed by the Senate president to bring it. So I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. Yeah, well, that's right, Susie. You know, y'all give Susie a round of applause.
She's Mother Superior.
She is. Everybody knows her. Everybody loves her.
She's on the legislative.
She's wonderful.
And yeah, you are too. You and Prince are the best.
Oh, thank you. Never been
You know, somewhere. That plan is no different. You just got to by his name.
We're gonna hold the comments until she's finished, and then we'll do Q&A, okay?
I wanted to bring this bill up because it seems like it's a bill that should have probably gone unnoticed, but it didn't go unnoticed, and so we are fighting it. It's House Bill 284 by Representative John Weigel, and it allows parishes and municipalities to expropriate blighted properties. And we just if you start glancing at it, you realize you get a 15-day notice period. Imagine 15 days. And supposedly they don't even have to contact you directly. They could put it in like the newspaper.
Oh, that you never read.
That you never read. And then once they take it, you have to fight and do all the proof to get it back. So we have been fighting this. I think it's disgusting that this bill. I mean, one, if he wants to keep it moving, it hasn't even had to be amended. It did fail on the House floor, but there were so many absences and the vote was close enough that he was able to get a vote to reconsider the bill. So there is he's got one more shot at getting this through. So I think he needed to pick up 6 votes. So we need to keep an eye on that one. And okay, then these bills I named legalized corruption. I think this state has a really troubling trajectory right now of trying to erode what few ethics are actually codified. It's remarkable how little people want to do what's right and how much they want to hide doing what's wrong. Not everybody, right? I don't want to paint a broad brushstroke, but these bills are making it through. So there's enough of them. House Bill 307 by Representative Kyle Green authorizes the governor and legislators to accept and deposit campaign contributions during a regular session of the Louisiana legislature. If you're worried about smoothies, just imagine $10,000. Oh, you voted that way. Oh, look at that. Let me just, why should you have to wait or feel like you've got to remind the lobbyists that you did the right thing? You can just get your check that day. It's disgusting. And then House Bill 515 by Representative Denise Marcel. This was going to authorize a political subdivision municipality to sell adjudicated property directly to a buyer instead of going to a public auction. What could go wrong? Yeah. that actually got amended and it's not a problem anymore. So it's, I'm grateful for that. And then the last one I just want to mention is House Bill 842, which I call the most evil bill of session. And it is by Representative Bo Boyer. It gives more unchecked power to the Secretary of State. Now she can singularly determine where the new machines, once she chooses what they are, where to store them. And I think it may completely get rid of her oversight. It's been a little minute since I've looked at that bill, but it is, to me, it's just absolutely a continuation of her ongoing power grab. So y'all pray for our state. Y'all pray for our elected officials. Pray for us that are in the trenches.
Okay, we have 3 questions. That's it.
Okay.
I have a big question. Landry, looks like he's in tight with Trump. Trump doesn't want voting machines. He wants one-day voting paper ballots.
Yeah.
And Landry is supporting his, no relation, I guess, Secretary of State Landry, to proceed with the purchase of these machines. Why can't we get through to Landry, Governor Landry?
I think President Trump must have an idea.
I think so too.
I think he does. I'll tell you why.
Messages.
Perfect. Keep sending them. I'll tell you why I think that he does know. Because he called Governor Landry remember whenever Landry wanted that Greenland job?
Yeah.
So he called Governor Landry a great deal maker. Now, who's a great deal maker? Trump is a great deal maker. You look at these deals that Landry's brought to the state, these AI data centers that he wants us to bear the cost for. And we would be bearing the cost for if people had not intervened and if President Trump hadn't intervened, right? You look at this carbon capture crap that he's pushing on our state. Those are not good deals.
Yeah.
So I think that President
I agree.
knows.
I agree. That's the same thing when he writes in caps and when he wrote "Run, Julia, run," 3 exclamation points. I think that was brilliant. I think he sees things in place 4D chess and moves the pieces and he's, yeah, I do.
I hope that's the plan with him endorsing Lepo.
I hope so. I can tell you, it's playing out very nicely.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's playing out beautiful. It's like a wonderful symphony.
Yeah.
I did see she's ahead.
But if we have the machine, the election, I don't trust the outcome.
Correct.
That's true. That's exactly right. I don't trust these machines. I'm very curious how close we actually make it to the midterm with the current setup. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, next question. Anyone?
All right. Well, thank y'all. I would love it if y'all are not watching the State of Freedom, please check us out on your favorite platform. And if you are not supporting us, please do, because we're doing this full time, and I can tell you the paycheck is not full time. So, all right, love y'all. Thank you so much.
Or you can go to
You can go to freedomstate.us and you can sign up for the Warrior Circle. It's like $10 a month, or you can give like a one-time donation.
freedomstate.us. Okay. And so for many of you who are doing your 10%, you're supposed to, you can 10% back for them. Right? You can never outgive God, and these are things that I believe the Lord has his hand on. And so it would be equally effective to donate to something that's effective, showing us what's going on, as it would be, to give your contributions also to your church. All right. Thank you, Danielle. It was a blessing and a pleasure to have you here. We appreciate all of that information. We do have it live streamed, and we will be sharing it on our Liberty or Lockdown channel. We greatly appreciate you. Okay. So very quickly, we only have one more meeting in May, and then we're out for June and July, and we come back in August. And don't forget the elections, May 16th. And then early elections are when, John?
Early voting is May 2nd through the 9th.
Early voting, May 2nd through the 9th. Yes, Susie. Yes, ma'am. You are our legislative liaisons and you are up next. Susie LeBrie. Let's welcome Susie LeBrie.
I wish I could tell you everything, but I'm gonna do the highlights, and I think everybody needs to buckle their seatbelt. I want to speak a little bit about carbon dioxide capture sequestration. 2 or 3 things I want to say. CC is CC, that's carbon capture. Carbon capture sequestration is not carbon capture. Carbon capture is a process. Sequestration is storage. It's the sequestration that is dangerous, that we need to fight. It's not just about fraud, it's about safety.
That's right.
My prediction is bad, and I hope y'all change my prediction. We need more around this court. President Cameron Henry and Speaker of the House, Philip DeVilliers, are pushing carbon dioxide capture. And Senator Wheat, I just talked to Bill Wheat. Bill said he's trying to see if he can get enough votes in the committee. As of right now, it's going to be hard to do. And he has no choice because it's Cameron Henry that you need to convince, and Philip DeVilliers you need to convince on carbon dioxide capture. There's like about 25 or so bills. You've seen my legislative report. I don't predict anything to come up. I predict it will fall unless more people get involved, expand the movement against it, and expand LaCAG, expand LRA, and all other groups, you know, such as say my Louisiana. My next,
Susie,
yes.
if you support that or not?
We are for all the bills that I have there to support a ban on eminent domain. There's some bills to support local control. You got the Johnson and the Wheat bill and all that. It's different bills that are against carbon dioxide sequestration. One thing I want to make clear, this is the 7 and Wheat, 60, that is about eminent domain. That's eminent domain of anything. The other industries we were happy with because it benefited the community, whether it's oil, water, bridges, or whatever. This is dangerous. That's the difference. We need permission to expropriate land in eminent domain. That is the key of House Bill 7 and House Bill 60. It's not carbon dioxide sequestration, even though that's the reasoning behind it. Now, the next thing I want to do is talk about health freedom. And Danielle and Chris covered a lot of that. But I sent out an announcement last night for you to see the video of the House Health and Welfare Wednesday, April 15th, when we were testifying for House Bill 1041 by Representative Gallo. I spoke, and I spoke about the loss of work in the movie industry that become due to COVID. You hear that 1,000 times, and the loss of work at school or the loss of work in the hospitals. But what floored me, and it freaked me out, and I'm sharing the dickens on this. Most speakers were medical doctors, MDs, medical doctors. One lady from Slidell, she's in the orange shirt, got up and made a confession that she supported the shop. And like a sales. She said she had to go to church and go to confession, to confess to the priest and to confess to our Lord of the sins of murder and so forth, because she felt so guilty what she did that she came out and spoke against the shot mandates. And she's very sorry. I want you to hear her. And I want to praise Danielle, Martha, for your biography, because that says a lot. When you speak, we listen because of your past. Katie Alexander, you, Chris, and many others who in the past have been in the industry This is why you know your stuff, because you've been there to see it on both sides. Thank, and I want to praise you and Chris and Katie. The next thing I want to talk about is ankle bracelet monitoring. There are some bills that are coming up. Wait. I forgot. Not ankle bracelet. That's the last one. Senator Hodges has asked us to pray, Danielle and Chris, has asked us to pray that Bobby Carter, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, schedule these bills 275, and there's another bill to go before this committee so we can pass these bills. These bills pass the Senate. We need to get these bills to pass the House. And the holdup right now is Chairman Bobby Carter. I researched that during the lunch hour. So we need to pray for all the foreign adversary bills, whether they're by Chuck Owens, Representative Galley, or, Edmonston, Amity, all these bills. Oh, all these bills coming up in the House of Representatives. These are all on my list. Look at my list. Keep up with them daily. We have a big day Monday. We got a lot of bills in these categories. They're going to hit the Senate and the House. And one more category is ankle bracelet monitoring. We need to license. I'm pushing Kerner House Bill 955. That's going to come before the Criminal Justice Committee. What we need to do is on electronic monitoring, we need to license them and regulate them. We need simultaneous transparency sunshine where all the parties that are involved can see in real time and in recorded history. We need to clarify the immunity. We need to get the baseline prison population analysis. And we need to enforce and tighten up bail accountability on these bills. So keep watching my legislative report and watch this video last night. And I got one complaint I just found out on my own. We have green cards and red cards. We need to get these cards are supposed to be read publicly. And you can access these cards by calling the committee because it's not fair. They read our green cards. The cards we fill out, they need to read both green cards and red cards. All. If you don't have time to read them, it is the legislative process. Then post them. They need to publicize these. So we're going to get those red cards and opponents who were against it because it was a hospital association. You heard them in insurance, but in health and welfare, they did not read the opponents to our bills. We need this information out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Susie. All right, so I'm gonna go real quick. Our next is Linda Wymanson. She's gonna give us our minutes of meeting. And we'll move on real quickly, okay? What I'd like to do is after the minutes of the meeting, we're gonna do our little birthday song, the 50-50, the announcements, and then we'll take our pictures, okay?
Thank you, Martha. So, last month's meetings, or meeting minutes, we had Cooper L. Rodenberg, the CEO of Foundation for Liberty and American Greatness, FLAG, a nonprofit organization focused on providing civics, education, teaching, and founding principles in history and patriotism to K through 12 students and families and educators. And it's a very important mission they have. And you can go have their website on the minutes if you want to go and donate to them and check out what they're doing. They have some really great kind of comic book like explanations of our founding. And that's really great for kids, who have short attention spans. I think you really enjoy that. So we just want to pass the minutes. Can I get a vote on that from anyone? Yeah, in a second. The minutes are passed, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh,
And all of the facial stuff that Martha's giving me. It's very, makes my pictures look better.
All right, happy, birthdays, April birthdays? Any April birthdays?
I don't know the word.
No April birthdays?
Oh, wow.
All right. Well, okay, that's an interesting one. Okay, so then we're going to move to 50-50. Three, one, two, five, 632. 3125 632. You get the loot. Awesome, congratulations. What's the next meeting, the date of the next meeting? We have another one? We have a candle. Okay, here we go. One more. No prize. 3125557. Great number, Carol. You ended up with a 555 and a 7. Awesome job. Carol gets the candle. Okay, perfect. Congratulations, Carol. See that? The Lord heard you. What's the third Friday of next month, the date? Anyone?
Friday.
Should have looked at that before.
22nd.
May 22nd? That's our next meeting. So we will not be back before the election. Make sure that you have May. That's what I'm thinking. It seems to say too long. Hold on a second.
One vote for.
It's not, huh? What's the third Friday? Please make sure y'all have that correct.
The 1st of May is a Friday, so that's Friday, May 1st is the first Friday. And the 15th is the third Friday.
Okay, so it's not the 22nd. It's May 15th. We have to be careful when we do that. I'm asking. May 1st is the first Friday. All right, let's make that correction. May 15th, we will be back here. Okay, and so, but remember, you have early voting and then you have election. May 16th is the election. We need to make sure we are there and we are voting. And tell everyone, it's very important. You can get your cards or yard signs. John, I can take some of those yard signs too. And have them in my, yard. People can come bring them to me. You have yard signs. How can we get them?
Everybody wants a yard sign. It's got a new badge today, so if you just text me, my cell number, with your address, and we'll get them. You can go to election.com. Or you can just text me directly, and my cell phone number's been the same since 2000. On the back of the push card, 504-352-8855. Text me your name.
It's on the back of the push card.
504-352-8855, and we'll get them put up. Thank you very much.
That's great too, that you give your number out. I love that. That way, you can reach him, right? He's reachable. And he's always been reachable for me, so it's been good.
Return my call.
Does he return his calls? He absolutely does. I can attest to that. All right. Perfect.
Just text me or call me and we'll set them up.
Okay, that's excellent. So you have a lot of supporters here. I just want you to know that. A lot of supporters.
One vote for, Ellie Schroeder.
Yes, Ellie Schroeder's a dear friend of ours. She's qualified 100%, and she should be on that board. And we do want to promote her. Yes.
Yes.
Claire Edwards. Mom's get Gary Landry. She cannot stand John Bell, brother-in-law. Any more than Gary Landry. Gary Landry, Hayden, Gary Mitchell.
Love the political gossip. I'm all in.
Claire Edwards.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Susie. I love that. I love that. I like the political gossip. I'm sorry. I want to hear all the truth. Give me all the juice. Yes, we need to know what's going on. All right, so we're going to take a few pictures. I do want the adjourn the meeting. Thank y'all so much for coming. We appreciate y'all, and the Lord bless you. We'll see you on the 15th of next month. Okay? Yes, pictures. Come up here for pictures, please. All right, come up here. John.
Yes, I